Hello, this is Dave, and you're watching Moonride, where we're channeling the man in the moon. Today's question is about America, and I'd really just like to know if America itself could give us some advice. And by the way, it is Tuesday morning in Australia, the week of Thanksgiving. It's interesting because the America shows up not just as the Statue of Liberty, but just so many different pieces of America, just so many different things, this whole patchwork of a nation is just showing up as, Native American people in one regard, working class people in another regard, just all these different sort of aspects of this sort of very complicated tapestry that's the United States. It's really showing up in its diversity. And I'm getting the message that this is what we need to do, is like return to this diversity that goes for the left and the right. We do have to think of the people in the countryside, the people who do vote red, and what are their needs? What are they not getting presently out of this society? What are they not getting? That is just as to remember, if you're on the left, it's very easy to stereotype these people and say that they're all a certain way, but we have to ask, what are their concerns, and remember that we're all part of the same game here. And we are really going to have to go back to more original stuff. I mean, I just see a lot of Native American people doing their dance here. It seems to be about the earth, and that we have to work together to help the earth, help the planet. Now, keep in mind, Native American people lived in perfect harmony in this way. They have a lot to offer. So, just going back to see how Native Americans lived, what their attitude was, what their religion was, if you can call shamanism a religion in the same way that other religions are. It's really a better way. I'm just getting it's a better way. We will have to return back to these principles in order to survive. Look, there's lots of fire ahead, lots and lots of destruction ahead. We have to change the way we are, and this situation is going to force us to change who we are and how we relate to our environment. Yeah, lots of drought problems in the future. And we will just find a way, Americans are clever people. We will find a way to save water. We'll find a way to survive without water. We will find a way to just use a lot less. We will figure it out. It's just a question of facing this problem. Yeah. Drought is going to be a serious issue fairly soon. I see lots and lots of lakes drying up in places you don't necessarily expect them to dry up. And this is causing more problems in the countryside than the city, right? Because these are the people that depend on the lake to survive. Now their livelihood is gone. They're compelled to move to the city where they feel more alienated, but in a sense, it's almost like everybody's going to be moving more towards the cities, because that's the countryside is going to be so difficult. It's going to be difficult to live where there are fires and floods and all these events. In a way, that's good. It's leaving this land freed up for us to plant lots of trees on and try to reverse. And that's what we're going to have to do. But again, the innovation of America is the key. It's us responding to new situations that has made us great, and that's what will make us great again in the future. Presently, there are powers that are trying to stop this from happening because it's not in their interests for us to change. But what we're seeing now is a sort of desperate act to not acknowledge the truth. That can only go on for so long. I'm getting even like 5 years, this myth of there is no climate change, that myth will seriously be in doubt, because everyone in America will be facing something along the lines of climate issues. On the bright side, again, we're going to go back to these more ancient ways of being, sort of being in harmony, and not having it all be so materialistic, and the beauty of this sort of equilibrium where it's just like a tribal community. People take more care of each other. And it's a spiritual quest too. As we're going here, our spirit is going to be much more aligned to those, first American communities, or we could say Aboriginal communities all over the planet that just didn't take. We will have spiritual change, which will kind of just change what we value. That's really happening, and that's a very positive thing. Our spirituality is changing. It's becoming, in some sense, greater. It's going back in time to a period of greater harmony. Something to do with cars. I see a broken down car. I'm just getting the feeling that regular transportation will not be all petrol. It's something like that car's breaking down and a new car's showing up, and it's got like a panel on the top, which is maybe a solar panel or something, and people are giving them a lift. So this has to change. It has to change. The people who have the old car are clearly poor. They cannot afford a new car with this stuff. But the people with the new car are like giving them a ride, right? So to some degree, there is going to be a reevaluation by city people of, okay, it's one thing to just say, oh, we got to be electric. It's another thing to practically impose that with people who couldn't afford such a change. And those people who are, asking them to change are helping them to change. It feels positive. It feels also almost like, in a way, too, this community is coming together. They must come together, and the values of just having relationships with other people in your community are coming back. The suggestion I'm getting from Spirit is any way that you can create your communities is a good way. Go out and meet other people and work towards certain positive goals. Obviously, there's some groups that you should not join, but even if you look at those groups that people shouldn't join, racist groups, for example, there's a reason why people are joining those groups. They want a community. It's unfortunate that it has such horrible aspects to it, but the desperate need is for people to join communities, right? And that is where we're going with this. People will become friends, across distances, and it doesn't have to be a face-to-face community. It could be a community like, like this one, right? It could be any community, but people will be creating them, and that is good. The sun is being blotted out by the fog and smog, but people are acknowledging that that's happening, and they're starting to think about the long-term future. The sun is not always blotted out, but it's just blotted out a bit more often. Yeah, it's almost like, I would say, a series of fires is actually what changed people's mind more than, for example, a hurricane. Because these fires won't affect just specific places, they'll affect all of those places where people thought they were immune to the effects of global warming, and they are now acknowledging, like, hey, my neighborhood's now on fire. It's never been on fire before. How could this happen? And the fires are just getting closer and closer and causing more and more problems all over the country. It just seems like everywhere there's a fire right now. And again, in Wisconsin, in places where you just don't think that there'll be fires. This is not immediate, but it is the next 20 years. People's reaction to the fires will be the more important thing than the fires. They will work together because, again, they will have no choice. And then after the fire's over, they will evaluate these things realistically. They all see it. You can't see climate change on a daily basis, but you can see a fire that's coming towards your house. And after you've spent all night trying to keep that fire away from your house, you and your neighbors have to face the facts, because that could happen again next year. And you have to say, what is really causing the fires? And I really do see Trump going down in history as just the example of everything that was wrong. In some ways, he serves a purpose as almost like a perfect beacon of everything that's wrong. His videos, his words, all these things will be played over and over and over again in the future to see just what a completely lost, person, what a completely lost following he had. It's sort of like looking at how we went wrong. It's very much like looking at images of Hitler and imagine, like, how could those people have done that? What's wrong with them? How could they follow someone so blindly? And that this will be like a textbook case for the future generations of how not to be. Yeah, it's not going to be all about business in the future. People will be turning away from business and basically looking at survival. The businessman shows up with his suit in the classroom and he's not welcome. The students aren't interested in what he is selling. They are interested in the scientific explanation of what's going on that they're seeing in front of them, because they must. And these are all fairly young people that I'm seeing. This is the future. This is the future generation. They will cast off the pure capitalistic money-making aspects, and they'll move in this direction. It will not be easy. It will not be easy, but America will prevail. All right. Thanks for watching.